Okay, so I've talked about the upcoming Samsung Galaxy S9. I've also made videos on Samsung's most innovative smartphone, the Samsung Galaxy X, which is more than likely launching next year, and I've also made a video on the Samsung Galaxy Note X. But in this video, I'm going to cover something that might be even more interesting than both the Galaxy S9 and the Galaxy X combined, and that's the Samsung Galaxy Zero. So we've actually had a few reports on this over the past week, and here's everything you need to know, all the leaks, rumors, and concepts of the Galaxy Zero in one video. So definitely subscribe if you want to see more interesting leaks and rumors episodes like this one. This is going to be a very interesting video, and also new notifications by tapping on that bell icon so that you get notified whenever a new video comes out. So yeah, grab some popcorn or some nuts, because this is going to be one of those really exciting and interesting videos. Enjoy. Okay, so first off, we know that Samsung is actually one of the most innovative companies on the planet. Actually, did you know that in 2016 alone, Samsung filed for more patents than any other company in the world? Yes, Samsung filed for 8,551 patents, whereas Google only filed for 3,210 and Apple only filed for 2,115. Now, most of the stuff that Samsung, most of the patents that Samsung files for, they don't actually turn out in the actual devices for various reasons, such as the manufacturers, they cannot produce the actual patented component, or it's too expensive to manufacture, or simply the fact that consumers won't find it interesting enough to buy the actual product itself. However, we do know that Samsung is working on at least two very innovative smartphones for 2018, which are actually going to be released this time. The first one is the long-awaited Samsung Galaxy X, which I've actually made multiple videos on, so definitely check those videos out if you want to know more about a Galaxy X. But essentially, Samsung has been working on flexible displays and foldable displays for many years now. So they showed us the first flexible display prototype back in 2011, and they were working on that years before. And since then, they've kept improving on those displays by making them thinner, by making them more durable to folding, improving the viewing angles, and so on. Samsung even released a few concepts that I've talked about in my previous videos as to how they would like a future smartphone to look like. So essentially, a foldable smartphone that unfolds into a large tablet when you need the extra screen real estate, and then folds back into a phone when you need something that's a bit more portable. Again, definitely give those previous Galaxy X videos a watch, because this was just a quick summary. So all of the previous Galaxy X videos are linked in the description box down below. And then the second big release for 2018 is going to be the Samsung Galaxy S9, and of course the Note 9 a few months after. I've also done a few videos on the S9 as well, but long story short, it is going to come with even thinner bezels than the S8. Most likely the bottom bezel is going to be removed entirely, and the top one might be made even thinner than on the S8 Plus. This would give it an even more bezel-less look than the iPhone X, since the S9 would also have curved edges. So zero bezels on three sides, exactly. 3 sides, not 4 sides, and here's where the Samsung Galaxy Zero comes into play. So a fairly well-known Dutch tech website called Let's Go Digital, they uncovered a new patent from Samsung, which was, by the way, published on November the 30th, 2017, so essentially a week ago, showcasing the manufacturing process of a fully rounded display. So essentially what we have now is an edge display. So it goes until the very edge of the side bezel. It's a tiny bit curved. But what these patents show is a display that actually goes until the very back of the phone. So the back won't be a full display, of course, but if you turn the phone onto the back, you would be able to see a tiny portion of that display. And we've actually made a few concepts to demonstrate how this would work and how this would actually look like. Now, of course, that in the patent, Samsung used an old S7 Edge design for demonstration purposes, but this is not going to be the case. This will look something like an S8 Plus or the Samsung Galaxy S9 design. Now, since the S9 is going to be announced fairly soon, and since the patent was only filed in, well, literally last week, this won't be happening with the S9, most likely. So there's a very strong possibility that we might see this on the Note 9 later on next year. Okay, but what use would we have for such a design? Well, currently on Samsung's Edge smartphones and the entire lineup after the S8 essentially, we have an Edge display panel. So when you slide from the very edge of the display, you get this extra menu for contacts, adding shortcuts for different apps and tools. And you can even add third-party apps such as CNN and so on. And this is a pretty interesting feature. I personally don't use it, by the way, and I don't really know anyone with an Edge smartphone from Samsung that actually uses those Edge features. Let me know in the comments, by by the way, if you have an S7 Edge or an S8 or any Edge Samsung device, if you actually use those Edge features or not. However, the Edge panel can also display notifications, and it can also display the time at night and essentially act as a night clock, which is a very, very useful feature actually. Now, the only problem with this is the fact that you have to have it on a nightstand or fairly above your head, otherwise you won't be able to read the time unless your vision is perfectly aligned with the edge of the device. So that would actually work amazingly well if the display was rounded instead of curved, because you could see all the notifications that you want without having to look from a specific angle. Now, when it comes to any other functionality, well, I cannot really think of any other functionality, anything else. So Samsung would definitely have an updated Edge panel for that, but in the end, most people might not even use the Edge features anyway. But it would still look amazing, especially with that display section on the back as well. Now, some of you might be wondering what's going to happen with the side buttons and how would this look and work like in a case? Well, when it comes to the case, that would be a bit of a issue, because you would obviously have to cover the edges if you would want to have edges protection. Otherwise, well, this thing, if you drop it, this thing will crack like crazy. Now, when it comes to the side buttons, there are a few options that I'm thinking that Samsung might do. So the first one, in the first case scenario, they could have them as virtual buttons, and that would actually be 100% possible. So just virtual buttons, you would double tap on the display essentially to wake it up, and adjusting the volume and locking the phone would be totally possible just from the UI. Now, essentially, no one really turns off their phone anymore. So to power the phone on when it's discharged, you would just plug it into the power outlet, charge it, and it would automatically boot up. So this is how I would design it myself. Now, option number 2 is for Samsung to actually add them to the top and bottom of the device, which would actually make it a bit weird, to be honest, but that's the only place where they could place them. And then finally, number 3, I'm thinking that they could also place them on the back, very similar to how LG has done it with the LG G3, the LG G4, and pretty much all their G and V lineup. Now, this all sounds great, but what if instead of Samsung using these patterns for just the sides, Samsung actually used the patterns for the entire phone, so essentially rounding both the top and the bottom as well. So in this case, we would get a 100% bezel-free smartphone. Reason why this is rumored to be called the Samsung Galaxy Zero. Now, design-wise, this would look incredible with 100% viewing area on the front, and then you would also have all 4 sides with that rounded display in case you want to view your notifications or the time, which I'm guessing would be displayed on all 4 sides. Okay, so this is just a pattern for now. It's not an actual device as far as we know. And the Samsung Galaxy Zero is essentially a way that Samsung could be using that patent. Now, of course, that rounded sides and top and bottom bezels seems much more likely to happen, and this might be the case with the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, which is coming out later on this year, next year in 2018. But regardless, the Samsung Galaxy Zero will definitely be a unique phone. Now, at some point, Samsung will definitely be doing this, introducing the Samsung Galaxy Zero. And at some point later, more manufacturers will be doing the same thing. And at some point, even later, almost all smartphones will look the same from the front, if you think about it. Just the display and nothing else, not even a logo, and essentially the same device, just a different OS. So in that case, Apple will still be a good option because, it will still be the only device that runs a different OS, so iOS. But if you take a look at all the other Android manufacturers such as Google, LG, Samsung, Huawei, even HTC and so on, they would not only have a very, very similar design, if not even identical designs on the front with 100% screen to body ratio, but also the same OS, just with different skins on top. But let me know, what do you guys think about all this? I would honestly love to hear your thoughts, or read your thoughts essentially in the comments about all this, about the future of smartphones, about all the smartphones looking the same, about the Galaxy X, the Note X, and so on. Definitely check out the previous videos that I did on the Note X and the Galaxy X and S9 and so on. And also feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Zone of Tech for more cool content. That's actually where I'm mostly active on, aside from YouTube. But yeah, other than that, feel free to subscribe if you want to see more interesting Leaks and Rumors episodes like this one, and also enable notifications by tapping on that bell icon so that you get notified as soon as a new video comes out. But yeah, this has been pretty much it for this video. Shout out to everyone who made it until this point, the end of this video. Let me know in the comments, by the way, how many of you actually made it until this point. But yeah, this has been pretty much it. So thank you for watching. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Zone of Tech, signing out. Cheers.